let's talk about mammograms, ultrasounds, and biopsies. I've had all three of them. I've had a mammogram when I was not pregnant. I had an ultrasound when I was pregnant because you can't have a mammogram when you're pregnant. And then I have had a biopsy when I was not pregnant, and I've had a biopsy while I was pregnant as well. I was pregnant with Maddie when I had my biopsy when I was pregnant. And I think mammograms, are super uncomfortable. I kind of want to get one of those body scans where you can see, I forget what they're called, but I want to get one of those. I think instead I would prefer, but of course I don't think it's covered most of the time by insurance. I will say a mammogram was quite uncomfortable for me. I don't know about other people, but I don't think it's the most comfortable thing in general. The ultrasound was definitely much different. It was just an ultrasound, like a wand going over your body, kind of. And I think that the biopsies I had were two different kind of biopsies. The first one when I got the mammogram and was not pregnant was more invasive. And then the second one that I got when I was pregnant was not as invasive. It was more minor. I had the first mammogram when I was not pregnant. I found a lump on the side of my breast, and both my grandmas had breast cancer. And was it last September? My mom was diagnosed, not last September, 2 Septembers ago now. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. So, needless to say, that was kind of scary when you've had that in your family, or, even considering that could be a case, and then adding on a family history of it was kind of scary. Not kind of, it was really scary. But, in the end, it was just supposedly the fibrous tissue that was, in a sense, just makes you lumpy. And then, so when they do a biopsy, they put a marker in to mark where you've had one, and you can't feel it or anything at all. It's just a little thing that somehow they can see what's in there. So then I kept having pain, and I think honestly now that it was kind of but a hormonal pain, because it would come every month, and it would be more tender, and it would kind of grow, I guess, and get a little bigger. So it would get more tender every month, and it was just, they said that would go away after a while, but then it didn't go away as fast as I thought it would. So then I went back in, and I was pregnant. So they did an ultrasound, and they said they couldn't really see sufficiently, which was kind of what they said before in my mammogram, that they couldn't see sufficiently, and they were a little worried because they couldn't see sufficiently. So they did the first biopsy. And then the second biopsy, they did that one, and it was in the same spot, and they did it again, and they didn't find anything. So it was just the same, a fibrous tissue, and it's definitely not a comfortable thing. You go in, and it's not like a surgery or anything, but they do they sterilize it and everything, but you have to be tender and careful with it for the next several days. You can't wash it and that kind of stuff, but it's definitely not something that's fun to have done. It's scary, and the emotions that come in, especially when you're like I've said, you've had the family history, or just even the thought of that is really scary to think about, that that's a possibility and you don't know. I remember with the first mammogram and biopsy that was more invasive, I was just nervous because of my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer, and I remember vividly, I was at work and I got the phone call that it was just there was nothing, there was no cancer, it was just a fibrous tumor, or just a fibrous spot. And I remember just breaking down crying because it was just a relief, such a relief. And it was like the tension had built up. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Like when you have that and you're thinking about going through that, because I've family members I've had gone through that, friends I've had gone through that in the past and recently, and it's just a scary thing to even consider, and because it's a hard journey. And I was just so thankful and relieved and felt so fortunate and blessed. Like I'd even thought, sometimes the thoughts go rapidly through my head when things happen, but like, do I get a double mastectomy? Like, what does that look like? Should I do that? Like, all the things that you can think of that go through your head when you're put in a situation like that, and you want to take care of yourself and do the best thing for yourself, but also like not go too far at the same time. It's scary, and you really have to have good support and just people around you that love you, and trust in God and know He's always got you no matter what, which is hard sometimes, because sometimes it's like, well, where are you in this? Like, what things keep happening? Like, where are you in this? But when the things keep happening, He's there, and He's always in the most minute, the smallest things you can see and think of, like the little tiniest things that happen. Like He is in those, and you can find those and know that He is always there, even though He might not seem like it, because it's a fallen world where things are crazy sometimes, but He's always in it, and He never leaves you. So all that to say, that's my story with mammograms, ultrasounds, and biopsies, and just know you're not alone in it. And if you need support or have any questions, I will be here for you and answer anything I can.